For the past 2 years, Jocko Fuel has been the only supplement I've consumed. It's helped me stay in shape now that my competitive career is finished. If you've been waiting to try Jocko, the wait is over. Jocko has now teamed with Walmart, bringing clean fuel to the entire nation. Jocko Fuel is loaded with all the good stuff and none of the bad. And I'm talking no added sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and absolutely no gray area or banned substances. Just pure, clean fuel to power your performances. Jocko Fuel is now available in Walmart nationwide. Products available at your local Walmart are Jocko Malt, ready to drink, Jocko Malt Powder, and Jocko Pre-Workout. How convenient. Guys, the time is now. Consider trying some of my favorites like Jocko Go and Jocko Hydrate. You can even do it online. Use code CHAEL30 at JockoFuel.com or just stop by your local Walmart and get your hands on some Jocko ASAP. Don't wait, might not last. Fuel up with Jocko Fuel and crush your goals. Now there's no excuse for not having clean fuel. Guys, I want you to go get Jocko Fuel today at Walmart. All right, guys, I've been sitting on a story. I've been sitting on a story since I believe March. No, it was March. It was March or into February. I went over to Riyadh and I had an absolutely great time. It was Bellator versus PFL. Do you guys remember this event? It's the first time MMA had been done in Riyadh. They bring in the PFL, but it's PFL versus Bellator. They bring in Iron Mike Tyson. They bring in Francis Ngannou. As a matter of fact, PFL in Riyadh built the arena that we held this fight in. They literally built it in a parking lot of the building where 1 week later, Francis fought Joshua. Okay, I'm telling you this for time perspective. I don't know why we built it in the arena, in the parking lot, as opposed to going into the arena, but this is what happened, okay? They fly Jon Jones in. Jon Jones and Francis have a face-off. This is the night that Problemo, Ferreira became the champion, defeating Ryan Bader. Sitting cage side is Francis Ngannou. Now, the storyline was already set that when Francis gets done with Joshua and the boxing, he's going to come over to the PFL. His first fight is going to be against the winner of Ferreira, Ryan Bader. Okay? This is the storyline. Now, the next day, I'm at the airport, and I was last. I was the very back, and I had just gotten some instruction on which line to go to. We flew in from Riyadh to California. So we're in the Los Angeles airport, and it's now that you go through customs, you collect your bags. If that's your final destination, there's a door that you go through. If you're going to connect there and stay international, there's a door that you go through. If you're going to connect there and go domestic, there's a door that you go through. I am going to stay domestic. I'm coming to Portland so I can get to West Lynn. Now, when I'm in the back of the line, I had just gotten instruction on what to do and how to do it, and it's not like it used to be. It now has evolved. It's online. You got to check these boxes, and you flash this thing after you get a QR code. Okay, great. But whatever this was, I had just been given the instruction, and I'm last. Well, no, I'm not. It turns out a straggler comes. And the straggler's behind me and had missed the instruction. And I can hear this. I can hear what's going on, and this straggler is a black man. And I can tell that he is being overly polite. I can tell that he's being overly kind. There's yes ma'ams, and there's thank yous, and there's pleases. There's things like this, and I can tell that he's asking that for any type of profiling. I can tell that somewhere he hasn't been treated like other people. And he's got to get this information. I can tell that he's doing that because he's black. I majored in sociology. I know I've already made you guys uncomfortable, but it's very relevant to the story because as soon as I pick this up, while this took me 10 seconds to tell you the story, this whole thing's about a half of a second. I pick the whole thing up and I turn and I'm going for this guy because I have the information. I'm going to make sure that he's got everything squared away and how he goes to get the QR code. And when I get there, which is only a few steps away, that black man is Jon Jones. So Jon and I, who do not get along at all, who never visit at all, are in this situation, and now we've got to go through customs. got some paperwork and you collect your own bag and there's a process that you have to do. And I'm talking to Jon, and it's very relevant that he was in Riyadh and that we're coming back. It's very relevant because Jon and I don't get along with Jon. Well, that's still behind us. He and Francis is still a thing, right? So he's out there doing this face-off with Francis. He's not completely comfortable at this event. Naturally, I would ask him, what do you think of Francis versus Ferreira? Ferreira was able to take the title off of Ryan Bader, and he did it rather quickly. I'd have to look the time up, but it was well less than a minute. I feel as though it was somewhere around 30 seconds. I mean, they came across Ferreira as just big as Ryan Bader is. This guy, oh my gosh, this guy's just a monster. So I asked Jon about it. And the reason I've never told you guys this story is I wasn't able to connect with Jon. I got to get Jon's permission to tell you the story that I'm telling you right now. Otherwise, it's a scumbag move, right? We're two guys talking. He's got nowhere he can go. I'm pinning him down. I'm asking him questions I'm going to bring to YouTube. It's one of those things where I have to have a release, if you will. I have to have a release from Jon. I just get a hold of him yesterday through Malky, who's nice enough to broker this deal, but I think you guys might find this interesting. Jon gave me the best analysis. Okay, I'm asking him, who do you think's going to win between Francis and Ferreira? I don't think you guys know who Ferreira is. I don't think you know. And they call him Problemo. Portuguese for problem. This guy's a problem. This Ferreira guy, man, he goes 280 pounds. He goes 6'8". He has to cut to make heavyweight. He's a purple belt under Conan Silveira. Conan, who's trained more damn champions than I could count, who knows exactly what he's looking at. I mean, this is an old school guy himself that fought in one-night tournaments. He says this guy's a hard worker. This guy shows up every day. He's never late. He never leaves early. And he'll do whatever I ask. He trusts. But Conan can't go any further. Coach Conan can't go any further with his compliments than that because the guy's raw. This is when Jon and Francis are in talks, right? I mean, this is just right on the back end. Francis's contract didn't come up until the first part of the year. So this gets, I mean, I'm in late February or even March at the time of the story. This is when Jon is still putting Francis over in the media. Jon's telling anybody that will listen, man, Francis is the scariest guy and Francis is the biggest guy, and I could bring him down. I had a chance to ask Jon what he thought about Francis versus Ferreira. Jon had never seen Ferreira fight before. He didn't know any more who Ferreira is than you guys know who he is right now. And Jon told me Ferreira would beat him. And I remember I had my bet, and I stopped. I said, what? Just not with the answer I was expecting. Jon gave me a full analysis. And he never put Francis down. He just talked about how big Ferreira was. He just talked about how powerful Ferreira was. He just talked about Ferreira's accuracy, how he was able to connect one of these to Ryan Bader, who's as bad of a SOB as they come, not to mention Jon has felt Ryan Bader firsthand. He had a full respect for Ryan Bader. He flies all the way across the world. 20-some seconds, 40-some, 50 seconds, whatever this fight was, right? I mean, it was like that. The first time they made contact, that fight was over. It was such an interesting analysis to come from Jon and to come in private because he's just saying what he saw. Now, finally, this weekend on pay-per-view, you're going to see Francis versus Ferreira. And I barely got this in. I mean, when I finally went to Malky, I've gone to Malky 3 times. I finally went to Malky. I said, bro, I'm out of time. This fight is here. If I can ever tell this story and give Jon's prediction, it's got to be now. He gets back to me, says, go, run with it. Talk to Jon, run with it. And I think that surprises you. And I thought it was very interesting that Jon, as technical as he is, like whatever a black belt is, which is just understanding, it's the grasping of multiple moves and movements. All the way back to the original karate days in a dojo where you're doing kata, which just means form. To get a black belt, you have to master a certain amount of technique, and you must master the form of those movements. And whatever that is, Jon is that times 3, right? Like he is the most technical, tactical, dynamic, And he's looking at the opposite. He's looking at the exact opposite. He's looking at in Ferreira, who his own coach says is not polished, but he works hard. He's not a black belt. He's only a purple belt, but he'll roll with any black belt, and he'll stay in there for an hour. He isn't a proficient and trained boxer, but if he touches you one time, he'll put you down. I mean, that sounds a lot like the way I would describe Francis, right? This sounds like two brawlers who just DNA alone were blessed with certain gifts. And the most dynamic of them all. Like, if anybody's earned the right to an opinion, to give an assessment, it's the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. That's Jon Jones. And I think that you guys will find that interesting. Jon Jones, without hesitation, picked Ferreira.